Blog Talk Radio.
For the next couple of hours, join us as we explore the imagination, the intuition, the inner realm, the inner world, what it is, what it means, how it looks, how it feels. Discovering new, broader perspectives of life as humans on the earthly plane. A journey within, a journey into a new yet ancient frontier, a journey into a new world, a new paradigm, a journey into the heart, a journey into consciousness, the journey of our lifetimes. This is your captain speaking. Please watch your head, watch your breath. Say hello to your friends, loved ones, beings of all energetic origins, of this world and without. Say hello to the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Sirians. Say hello to the energy Justals that have sent their love into the human world since before the beginning. Say hello to those that are our guides and teachers, our angels, our future and past selves. Say hello to the well-wishers from the known universe and beyond. Please place your minds and hearts in their most advantageous and comfortable positions. Allow reason to go exist with intuition, with inspiration, and join me in the discovery of more and more of ourselves. I promise you a journey unlike any other. Let us explore together the mystical, the amazing, the magnificent world of heart-based living in the fifth dimension. Welcome to the Consciousness Evolution Hour with your host, Philip Malika. Welcome, welcome indeed. You are tuned in to the Consciousness Evolution Hour, the maiden voyage, the first journey, first episode. I am Philip Malika, and you know it's me because I'm not echoing anymore. But welcome to everyone here. I'm very excited to do this. We are presenting this as part of Rob Gauthier's ENlightenment Evolution Network, proudly so. Very excited to be a part of this and looking forward to everything as we move forward, exploring together all the vast new world that we're coming into contact with. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with announcements. And I'm just going to see if I can kill the music here. This is my first time on the dashboard here, so I'm kind of figuring my way through it. The music actually will stop in a couple of minutes. It could stop now, but I'm not quite sure how to do that. So bear with me as the background music plays. And hopefully you can hear me over the music. So here's the announcements. And there we go. Perfect. It's as if I asked and I received. What can be better? Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. So here's the announcements. Ladies and gentlemen, we are launching of our Internet Radio Network. I now introduce you all to the Enlightenment Evolution Network. This is a network for all things metaphysical. We have the greatest team ever assembled for the Enlightenment Evolution Network. Most of you are aware of the Enlightenment Evolution Hour, which is every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. But now we are going to have a show from a different host each evening. How exciting! Monday nights, starting at 9:30 p.m., the only oddball, I have a sense that that's not the first time it's ever been said about Daniel. I say that with the greatest love and in jest. But Monday at 9:30 p.m. EST, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time, we're going to have Daniel Scranton hosting Heart to Heart Talk Radio with Daniel Scranton. And Daniel has 2 shows under his belt. On his first show, Rob was the guest of honor, and this past Monday, Rachel Archaelis, I hope I said that right, Archaelis, was on, and it was a tremendous show, and just fantastic. And congratulations to Daniel. I'm so pleased for him. Daniel, we'll talk about Daniel some more, but his featured guests join Daniel and his featured guests as they discuss such topics as the shift, ETs, global events, channeling, energy work, toning and sound healing, manifestation, and all things metaphysical. Each show will open the phone lines to callers, generating high-frequency discussions on anything and everything related to living on planet Earth and beyond. Daniel Scranton is a channel, Reiki master, and sound healer. He lives in Ojai, California with his beautiful wife, Lana. Daniel has been working with a group of beings known as the Creators since the fall of 2010. He also channels Ophelia, a fairy, good old O, and the Hathors. Daniel also teaches channeling, holds regular teleclasses, and provides daily channeled messages for free to his email subscribers, Facebook friends, and on YouTube. You can find Daniel on our Consciousness Evolution 2.0 group on Facebook as well. He posts there daily. We get a message from Creators and Hathors, and we get wonderful, wonderful messages. I love waking up and starting my day by seeing Daniel's post in the morning. It always helps me set my frequency and set my tone for the day. Always makes me think, makes me consider my life in a new way, in a new perspective, and I love the frequency and the energy that Daniel provides for us. He posts, he's not hard to find. You can find Daniel on at danielscranton.com, and that's spelled with no spaces, Daniel, D-A-N-I-E-L, Scranton, as in Scranton, Pennsylvania, .com. You can find him there. You can find his channel on YouTube. You can find him on Facebook. Real easy to find Daniel. And this coming Monday, Daniel is going to have a very special guest, Nora Harold, who channels the Pleiadians, and I absolutely love listening to Nora, and I'm so excited for this opportunity to hear Daniel and Nora together. They've been working together for a number of years now, and I know they have a great repertoire and a great relationship, and they are, I can't wait to hear them together. It's going to be quite a show. So we'll look forward to that next Monday night with Nora Harold, and again, that will be at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time and 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, Daniel has on Sunday night, we'll be doing a live Q&A session with the Hathors. The Hathors are the most recent addition to Daniel's channeling energies. I love their messages on Facebook, love reading the information from the Hathors, and this is an opportunity for you to get a chance to speak directly to the Hathors. So look for that on Sunday night and that is at 6 p.m. Pacific Time Sunday night, or 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And please, if you have any questions about that or any questions about Daniel at all, you can sign up for his free email messages daily by going to his website at danielscranton.com. Very, very excited. All right, so on Tuesday nights, we're going to have J. Carlos Rios hosting the Galactic Families. And as much as we can say about the show, the name says it all, helping make the connection with our families in other galaxies and other solar systems. It is about contact and connecting heart to heart with our galactic families. He is also part of the great Facebook page, Yael Civilization, and I'll tell you, that really is a great group that's on Facebook. I belong there. I love it when J. Carlos gets together with he has a number of people working with him over there. It is a wonderful site, wonderful messages we're getting from our galactic families, and I am really looking forward to that on Tuesday nights upcoming. That's going to be a few weeks off. They're still putting that together. A couple, 3 weeks off, I'm not sure yet, but we'll have more information as that draws closer. That's going to be Tuesday nights on the Enlightenment Evolution Network. Wednesday nights, our wonderful Rob Gauthier, the creator of it all, the creator of the Enlightenment Evolution Network, will host the show that started it all, the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. This is a trip through trip on Wednesdays, where every first Wednesday of the month he will be channeling Treb, who will take Treb Orietny, who will take all callers' questions. The third Wednesday will be a special guest such as channelers and other metaphysical teachers. The other 2 weeks are our freestyle call-in to share information with love with whoever wishes to co-create the evening with us. Although it is called the Enlightenment Evolution Hour, we always spend 1.5 or more hours with you. As we will be doing tonight, we will actually be going longer than an hour, but I do want you to know that if you need to cut out, that all of these shows are archived and you can catch them on the same link that you found them in the first place, and they are available for archive for your listening pleasure at your leisure, anytime, immediately after the show is finished tonight. So just keep that in mind, and know that you can come back and revisit us and listen to it anytime you like. Okay, so that's Wednesday nights with Rob. I was on last night with Rob for a while, and a bit spot turned into an hour, and we sure had a great time talking to each other and sharing information about the new shows, and really was a wonderful show last night. And then Rob finished it up with some clips from Ardif, and I love listening to Ardif as well. Such excellent information coming through there, as well as from Treb, and it was a great show last night, and I was very excited to be a part of that. So that's Wednesday nights. Thursday nights, of course, you're here, you know. Thursday nights is the Consciousness Evolution Hour. I won't go into any more about that. You're going to get a snoot full of that tonight. So by the time we're done here, you're going to know everything you need to know about this show and where we're going to be going with it. Friday nights, we're going to have the Earth Experience with Kalina Angel. Kalina Angel will be hosting her own upcoming show called The Earth Experience on Friday nights. Dates and details are in the works and will be coming soon. The Earth Experience explores our soul's expansion through our human experiences on Earth. The first topic explored will be what we can do when the shift hits the fan. So we'll be looking forward to that, navigating and expanding through the exciting confusions that we are manifesting as new fifth-dimensional beings. Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays will be announced soon. Please come and join us so that we can all co-create this new world we are living in. See what is new and see what is coming. Keep an eye on Rob started a Facebook page, the Enlightenment Evolution Network. Please come and join us on our Consciousness Evolution 2.0 group. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of these places where you can go on a daily basis and get information and keep up with what's going on, not only with the shows, but with the information at large, because this information changes so fast, it's coming so quickly, that it really is a nice to be able to go to on Facebook and see what is current and what people are talking about. And again, we're going to talk about those groups some more, but please do join us on the Enlightenment Evolution Network page on Facebook and on the Consciousness Evolution page, Consciousness Evolution 2.0 on Facebook. Also, you can find me on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel called Philip Malika, and you can subscribe to me there. And I have a number of videos posted. We're going to talk some more about that too, but you can find me there. And also, if you happen to be local to Michigan, I do host 2 local meetup groups that meet in Clarkston, Michigan, which is a suburb of Detroit. And you can go to meetup.com and look for the Consciousness Evolution group there, and you will find us. And we have meetings 3 weeks out of the month. Actually, the Consciousness Evolution group is 2 weeks out of the month. I also have another group there, a UFOET group, and we meet 1 week a month. But the first 3 weeks of the month, we have local meetups here. If you're in the area, there's nothing like those folks getting together face-to-face with like-minded people and sharing our stories and sharing our discoveries and sharing our humanity and sharing our journey into the 5th dimension and wonderful energy at those. So that's where you can find me. I'm going to take one moment, last thing, and talk about donations. Every one of the shows here will offer you an opportunity to donate. And what I wanted to say about donations is there's there is a certain feeling about donations, and I just want to give you my outlook on it. I'm doing this because I love it. I'm doing this because it gives me joy to do so. And what I'm doing really is I'm holding the energy of this perspective, and I am then giving you an opportunity to reflect that energy back to yourself. Now, any of the teachers and anything you read will tell you that all of this information is available to everybody, and it is. It is available to everybody. But occasionally, it is helpful to us to, rather than get the information intuitionally to bring it through, it's helpful to see it reflected back from somebody else who can reflect the information to us that is what we're looking for. So if that service of me reflecting this information back to you in a way that is meaningful, in a way that is useful, works for you, then I appreciate you donating to the Consciousness Evolution Hour page. And you can do that right on the right on the page that you're listening to. All these links are there, folks. Links to the Consciousness Evolution group, Consciousness to the Enlightenment Evolution Network group on Facebook, links to Meetup, links to YouTube, to my YouTube channel, and there's a donation link there as well. So anything is appreciated, but certainly not necessary. What we appreciate is that you showed up and that you're supporting us in this way. So thank you very much, and we're going to move on. That's all of the announcements. Again, I just want to say how really very, very excited I am to be here and do this. This opportunity from Rob, that Rob offered me, was something that I didn't expect, but was perfect. It was perfect in its timing, perfect in its in the way that it fell together. And again, I'm really, really pleased to be able to be here and do this. So we're going to move on. And what we're going to do in the show, I'll give you an idea what the show is going to look like tonight. I'm going to give you some background on me and discuss some of the things that I've been doing over the last 4 to 5 years and that have led me to this point, and give you a background on me. And I think that will give you a really great sense of where I'm coming from and what you can expect to hear on the show. I expect that to take about an hour, and then we're going to go to the phone lines at that time, and we'll take callers who want to question or make comments or whatever at that time, we'll try and get some phone calls in, and we're going to keep this moving along because really, folks, we have a lot of ground to cover, and I know we've got nothing but time, and that's really the wonderful thing. There's no rush to this. There's no reason to worry about whether we're going to get it all at once. And really what I'd like you to do and what you can do to help this process is I'm going to tell you a story. It's a new story. And the reason I know it's a story is because we're going to be taking concepts and ideas that are basically non-physical in nature, and we're going to be trying to describe them and define them by describing them within our third dimensional definitions. Well, that's a pretty tall task. And traditionally and historically, what man has done is man has created stories to explain the aspects of his own psyche that he has not yet assimilated, or ideas and concepts that he can recognize, but he doesn't know how to describe. So we're going to be telling you a story. And it is a better story than some of the ones that we used to have. And it is a new story, but it is still a story. It's the way that we're going to try to describe all of these concepts and ideas in a means that you can understand it. And so if you recognize that it is a story, it is not the final word. I am not a guru. I am not a master. I am actually, my background is in network engineering. That's been my career. And I was the guy, the reason that we used to joke about it and say, the reason that we get paid what we do and are looked up to like we do is because we are the guys that read the manuals that nobody else wants to, right? We're the guys that read the manuals and then tell everyone else how it's done. So I've had a whole career of taking difficult concepts and being able to explain them in a very clear and concise fashion and in a way that made sense to the people that I was dealing with. So I basically I'm hoping that I can take that talent that I've developed and honed over the years in my computer career and translate that over into these metaphysical ideas that we're going to be discussing. And so far, and what I've done so far in this realm, it seems to be working pretty good, and I am getting a lot of help. I'm not so foolish to think that this is me that's doing this. What I do understand is that I have all these energies that are working with me, and these energies have been working with me my whole life. And now we have found a way for these energies to flow through me in a way that is more profound than it was before, in a greater fashion. And really, that's what all of us are learning to do, is make this greater connection to our higher being. And we're going to talk about that a lot more. But to give you some background on myself, I basically started down this path in 2009. In 2009, and if some of this is going to be a repeat if you listened to Rob's show last night, so I'll try and keep it brief. But in 2009, I was seeing a psychologist, and at that time, this psychologist, who was not a run-of-the-mill psychologist, obviously, gave me an Abraham intro CD. And he said, why don't you listen to this? See what you think of this. And I thought, okay. So I did finally, I hemmed and hawed for a couple of weeks, and I did finally listen to it. And the first time I listened to it, I was really sitting there kind of scratching my head, because I was like, this is so weird, but yet there's something so familiar about it. And so then I listened to it a second time. And by the time I'd finished listening to it the second time, I had to listen to it a third time. And by the time I finished listening to it the third time, I was blown away. And I said to myself, you've led a good life, and but you've come to this point in your life where you know that there's got to be something more. There has to be something more. You haven't had this feeling your whole life like you've been waiting to do something, because you haven't. You have been waiting to do something. And the moment that all clicked in, I knew that this is what I've been waiting for my whole life. I knew that this exploration that I was about to embark on, and I had no idea where it was going to take me at that time, but I knew that this exploration that I was embarking on was what I had been waiting for my whole life. And as I told Rob last night, I was in a corporate environment, and I had a knot in my stomach from doing that and from trying. And now I recognize that through my ego, I, of course, was trying to control everything, and we all know, or we're going to learn, that our ego really was never designed to do that. So I had developed this knot in my stomach, and I basically had that knot in my stomach for, 20 years, more or less, maybe a little less than that. But it was all very stressful, and I was taking prescription drugs to take care of this, and within 1 week, let me back up for a moment. So I listened to this Abraham CD, and I said, what I said to myself at the time was, I said, you know what I'm going to do is for 30 days, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do what I'm being asked to do. I'm going to examine my beliefs, because somehow or another I had gleaned from all that so much of what was causing me distress were my beliefs. And so I said, I'm going to do this belief work for 30 days. And then at the end of 30 days, if things look better, then I'll say, okay. Well, what happened is I started down that road, and within 1 week, the knot in my stomach disappeared. And I went, oh, glory be. You got to be kidding me. I mean, and what I did over that period was I just started dealing with beliefs, and I started chucking beliefs. I started chucking all the beliefs that I was carrying that weren't mine, that I was carrying for other people, because I was such a mishmash of beliefs that my ego didn't know if it was coming or going. It didn't know who to believe, because it had never heard anything that was worth believing until I heard the Abraham. That was the first thing I ever heard that started to make some sense to me. Here I am, network engineer. I do this for a living. And I came across this, and I went, whoa, this actually makes sense. This works. And you know what, folks? I never made it the 30 days. I'll bet I didn't last 2 weeks, and I was sold, man. I was on the cart. I was ready to go, and I've never looked back since. And it has not been without its challenges, and it has not been without its shakeups, because basically, once you begin down this path, everything changes. But what you start to learn is that the changes, regardless of how they may look on the surface, are always to your benefit. Now, that's a pretty amazing thing, because we all go through some pretty raucous stuff. We all go through some pretty hairy times. But once you begin to understand that it's all meant to work to your benefit, you can begin to find the gifts in everything. And everything does have its gifts. So, that was how I started off. Within 3 months of discovering Abraham, we decided that we wanted to meet Abraham. We wanted to go talk to Abraham. And we actually went on an Abraham cruise at that time. That was early, first part of 2010. And real funny, I actually met Daniel on that cruise. That's just kismet. That's just the coolest thing now, and seeing where we are now. But that's where I first met Daniel, and a number of wonderful other people. Amazing. It was one of the most amazing weeks I've ever spent in my life, and I was so green under the collar. Before 2009, I really had no metaphysical background. Now, that isn't to say that intuitionally I didn't know that no matter what I turned my focus to, and this is, I'm speaking of myself, that whatever I turned my focus to did seem to work out. It did always seem to work to my benefit, and anything that I turned my attention to seemed to come very easily to me. So I knew that there was magic. And I was also married, and still am, to someone who is magic. So I knew magic existed. I knew what it was. But I had no metaphysical training. I had no spiritual training in that sense. I was raised Roman Catholic and had gotten divorced and got thrown out of the church, and then that got annulled, and then magically, I'm an accepted member of the church again. Yay! So, I kind of did that, but that just didn't work out very well. And we had tried a number of different places of worship, in a traditional sense. And there were a couple places we really liked, but none of it really worked out in that sense. So I had no spiritual background. I had no metaphysical background before we met Abraham in 2009. So we went on this cruise, and it was the most amazing thing, and I ended up in the hot seat twice on that cruise, which was incredible for me. And again, I was so green under the collar that, I laugh about those times now because, of course, I don't even recognize who I was yesterday. Now the energy moves so fast, and things change so fast, and I change so fast that... And now to look back at early 2010, it really is quite comical, the perspective that I had at that time. But I was on the right track, so it was all working out the way it was supposed to. I was led perfectly at that time to be there to discover this when I did. And, it's funny because at that age that I was at that time, in 2009, I was 49. At that age I was at that time, one of the first things that came to mind was when I really figured out that this was the real deal. I said to myself, and I figure this out now? Now? I wait until I'm 49 to figure this out? Is this some sort of cruel joke? What can I possibly do with this in the remaining years of my life that are going to come anywhere close to what I feel is within my heart to do with this? Well, what I've realized over between then and now is that it was all absolutely purposeful. My whole journey was purposeful. Is it any surprise that when I was 28, I had a choice between two careers? One was in IT. Guess what the other one was? A broadcaster. Right? So at the time, I chose IT because we had a family, and it was very important at that time to, I wanted to provide for them the best I can. And the life of a broadcaster was not set in stone by any means. It was a tough life, and those people bounced around, and that it wasn't the life that I wanted for my wife and family. So I chose to go into IT. And now, 25 years later, look what I'm getting an opportunity to do. To share this information, to broadcast this information, this wonderful opportunity to share this information in this way. And I'm loving every moment of it. So, perfectly led. And everything that's happened in my life, even before I discovered this information, I can look back now and see how it all served me, how it was all meant to serve me. And even in those years when I wasn't aware of the metaphysical, those energies were working through me. They were working with me because, I don't have the foresight, but they did, and they do, because everything happens at once. Everything is simultaneous. So, back to 2010, so after I went on this Abraham cruise, I was meditating one day, and this was really the next step in my training that has continued to push me forward. I was meditating one night, and I set an intention. I asked a question. And the question was, what can I do to increase this connection to my higher self, to my inner being? That's what I wanted to know. And I was meditating, and I had known one of the things that happened that I knew that happened on the cruise was I got real familiar with that internal voice. I got to where I could recognize it, and I knew it was it talking to me. And the way that came about was both times that I went in the hot seat with Abraham, I knew before I was called up there that I was going to be called. And it was a knowing, and I recognized it, and I could feel it. And so I was able to carry that forward with me. And so as I'm meditating, I got that voice, or that inner talking. And the answer to my question, what can I do to increase my connection? The answer to that was read the Seth books. Now, I was familiar with Seth, and we're going to talk a lot about Seth, but I was familiar that Jerry and Esther had read Seth before they met Abraham, started channeling Abraham, and they talked about Seth on occasion. Abraham talked about Seth on occasion. Beyond that, I really didn't know anything about Seth. But I said, okay, all right, I have been given my marching orders, and I will look into it. So I did. I bought the 8 dictated Seth books. And Seth is, for those of you who don't know, the author Jane Roberts. Jane trans-channeled an energy gestalt named Seth. And they have a preponderance of sessions. I'm talking thousands of sessions of Seth speaking through Jane. And the way that worked was Jane would go into trance and start speaking for Seth, and Robert Butts, her husband, would take shorthand. He had like this special shorthand. It was like Robert Butts shorthand, and he was absolutely focused and so interested in getting it so perfectly. And Jane was such a wonderful filter for Seth, because Jane was able to take these ideas that Seth was bringing through her, an amazing woman that she was able to translate this information in a very, very clear fashion with very little distortion. Because as we know, anytime energy flows through us, it's going to pick up some of the properties or the personality of the person who is rendering it. But Jane Roberts did an incredible job, and these are volumes. The Seth books are volumes. But there are 8 books proper, which were dictated as books. And so I began reading those books. And I started off with Seth Speaks, and I was absolutely blown away. If Abraham had gotten me on the path, Seth was my instruction manual. And I know a lot of people are very think that Seth is difficult to read, and it can be, I suppose, but it is not mechanical by any means. Seth is one of the most fluent, brilliant, absolutely heartfelt, wonderful speakers that have ever been a part of the Earth experience. It can absolutely bring you to tears with the beauty with which he speaks, the words, the ideas, the thoughts, the love that flows from Seth as you read the books. And these books aren't just books. They are multidimensional tools, is the best way I can think of to describe them right now. Because when you read them, you're not only reading them and getting the information like we usually think about getting information from reading a book. You're getting it on so many levels and in so many ways, and that energy transforms us. It transforms you when you do it. You're getting it in many different ways that you aren't even conscious of. In the same way that the body grows from an infant to an adult, when you go through the process of reading the Seth books, you grow in a way and in ways that aren't even conscious to you. Some ways that really are, because it's rewiring. It messes with your head. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but it is a completely different perspective than any of us were ever taught. Completely different than we were ever led to believe. So I spent the next year and a half going through this process of reading through the Seth books. And then I finished reading them, and I went back and read them again. And you know what? Second time through was like reading them all over again. Was like reading them for the first time. Because now my energy had shifted into a new place. And so this multidimensional data that is coming from me reading these sessions from the Seth books is now coming in a completely different way to me. And I'm seeing things that I didn't see before. Talk about shivers up the spine. Wow. So I went through this process, and in this process, what I began to discover is that I was writing. I was writing long letters on Facebook, on the Facebook group, on the consciousness group. And I was sharing these, and people were responding to them. And I realized what was happening was I wasn't just sitting down and writing, and like you'd think you'd sit down and write a book. What was happening was I was getting downloads. I was getting this energy was learning how to work through me. It was learning how to express itself through and with me. So I would get these downloads, and they would rattle around for a while. I might get something, and they start unraveling like an onion, and you start to get a clearer and clearer picture of what it is that you want to say, what it is that you want to explore, what it is that you want to write about. And then all of a sudden, one day, it's like it's all there. Boom, it's all there, the whole thing. And I sit down at the keyboard, and I do 3 pages without ever lifting my fingers and without having to go back and edit it. Because it is now this complete thought, this complete download that I have received through this energy, and it has flowed through me onto the paper. Now, this really is a recent, I knew that it wasn't just me, that I was getting this help, because I got to tell you, people, I'm not that smart. I'm smart, but I'm not that smart. I'm not that good. But to feel this energy flowing through me and to start to recognize it. And, of course, the energy is me in that sense. But it is so much more than me. And I'm getting help from all kinds of different energies. I'm getting help from Abraham. The Abraham energy is with me always. I can feel it. I can just turn my focus just a little bit, and I know that Abraham is there with me. And I get that loving feeling, that loving, warm guidance and help, and it is such a wonderful energy. And I know when most people talk about Abraham, they automatically go to Esther Hicks, and I love Esther, and I love what she's done with us. But this is not Esther. This is this energy that is here with me, and it is available to all of us. And you will find your own energies. These just happen to be the ones that work for me. And apparently I have some sort of relationship with them in past lives or simultaneous existences where, we've been together many times. And that all works for me. And the same with the Seth energy. When I sit down to write, or when I'm reading the YouTube, the sessions and recording it for YouTube, I'm so tuned in to that Seth energy gestalt, that energy that's flowing through me. I read these sessions and I record them for YouTube. And, when you read a book, you're not always sure what's coming up. And even though I read these books twice, I don't remember the sessions. I mean, I sort of remember them, but you don't remember word for word what's coming up. But when I sit down to read these and record them, it's as if it's coming right out of my heart. As if I know what's coming, I automatically know where to get louder and where to get softer and where to slow down and where to pause for effect and where to stop and take a breath. It's all there for me already. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to think about how I'm reading this material because it's already there. The energy is already flowing through me. It's already coming out of me. Just like right now. This energy is just flowing through me. And what I want you all to understand is that this energy, this new energy, this is what we're doing. We're blending. We're blending our beings. And we're going to get into a lot more specifics about how that's happening. But when we talk about the shift, we're talking about this blending on such a deep level of our ego personality and our higher self. And we're expressing that energy. And that energy is coming through us, and it's coming through us in a big way. And this is what's available to us as part of this shift. This is what we're doing. We're going to talk a lot about that. Because if there is an end game to all this, that's what it is. It's blending. And you can, we look at our dear channeler friends who are channeling these energies through them and doing this blending work. And when I look at myself, now I don't go into trance and channel, but maybe it's ego part of me, but from my standpoint, I say, hey, you know what? I've spent my whole lifetime honing this personality. Now, I've had this resistance to trance channeling, and I didn't understand it for a long time. It wasn't a resistance to listening to it. I love to listen to people who channel, and I love to feel that energy and get that information to them. But for myself, there was some bit of resistance to me in trance channeling, and I think the idea was that it was like I started to say, I've honed this person, this ego, this personality for my whole life, and I like him. I mean, I like him. He's funny at times, and he's pretty smart, and he's a good guy. And I really like him. So for me to go into trance and channel, it's like telling him, hey, you know what? You're really cool and all that, but why don't you go sit in that corner over there and shut up? Because I got some stuff that I want to talk about here. And I don't want you meddling in with it. It's almost how I felt about it. Now, that's pretty funny. It is funny. But what I come to realize is that this ego personality really has a lot to offer the energy that's coming through me, because I have first-hand experience with life. And I've developed this whole persona, this whole bag of tricks, if you will, that I rather am fond of. So to me, being able to channel this energy through me and give it a flavor, to have it pick up what I consider the very best parts of me. And when I say me, I mean my ego. And of course, there is no separation between all this, but for our purposes, for that information and that energy to come through me, and then for me to be able to give it a real nice package, to polish it, and then allow it to come through me. We're all going to be doing this, because the ego's not going away, folks. It's not going away. It has a job. What we have done and what we are doing for our egos that is extraordinary and that is really aiding them in this whole process is we've correctly, now I don't want to say correctly, we have lovingly let our egos know what its job really is. Because we spent our whole life with our egos telling our egos that they have to figure it all out. The ego is in charge, and if something goes wrong, they're the ones that get the finger pointed at them because there's nobody else here. And so we put all this pressure on the ego to figure out how to make things work for us, and the ego was never designed to do that. Never designed to do that. The ego's job was kind of like the president. You know, the president upholds the laws. Well, the ego kind of takes the information that it's getting from the higher self and it projects it out and then observes and reports back. So the ego is not this poor red-headed stepchild. It is an integral part of our day-to-day life. And when we give the ego the opportunity to do its job without putting all of that pressure on it to do all the things it was never designed to do, to see over the hilltop when it's in the bottom of the valley, the ego takes a deep breath and goes, oh, thank God, because I don't know how I was going to do that anyway. We've just taken a whole boatload of pressure off the ego. And at the same time, we love the ego. We tell it how much we appreciate what it does for us, because it directs traffic. It reports back. It observes. It gathers data. This is its job. And when the ego can do that and we take out the onus of having to do everything, the ego starts to relax. That's much better. You mean I didn't have to do all that? Oh, thank God. Now the ego can allow itself to have the energy of the higher self flowing through it. And the way we do this is really quite simple. It's through trust. It's through faith. It's through knowing that we know. It's through believing that everything in the universe is divinely designed to work in our favor. I will stop and say, I use the word divinely, and just for anyone who that kicks up some dirt for, that's one of these old terms. You very rarely, I won't say very rarely, but I try very much, and this has helped because I didn't have a metaphysical or spiritual background, so I didn't have years and years of spiritual dogma, and I use that term lovingly because much of it was very clear, but it was very much a dogma that or stories that we use to explain things to ourselves. So the ego, that will happen, folks. I'm going to get off on tangents, and I'm going to forget what the point was that I was making. So just get used to that. Hopefully I will work my way back to the subject at hand. So we're allowing the ego to do what it was meant to do. And listening to the higher self and allowing that energy to flow through it, and allowing trust and faith and knowing to guide us. Because once you bring that into your heart, once you bring into your heart that knowing, that trust, and that faith that it's all meant to work out for you, if you allow it, it will work in your favor. It will do just that. And then you, the ego personality, you can just sit back and gather information. And you can actually take the role of the observer. And what you'll begin to observe when you start living from your heart, you'll start to observe, as Bashar puts it, an incredible explosion of synchronicity. Because you have lowered the floodgates at that point. You have released resistance, and you're allowing the universe, allowing all that is, allowing Source now to flow that energy of creation through you. And when you step back as the observer and see what creation is offering you, now you're looking at magic. Because it is all magic. And it's all here for us. And it's all meant to work out. And it's all meant to lead us to the things that are to our benefit. Energy is amazing when you start working with it, when you start to recognize what it is and what it can do. And this is one of the things we are learning to do here as humans. We're learning to work with energy. Because this world that you see around you, this nuts and bolts world, this black and white world, I got news for you. It's a projection. You are the universe. You are all that is. And then this grand dance of beauty, and you are creating your experience of the world through you. We've done this forever. We have always done this. Untold civilizations have done this. This goes a long ways towards explaining some of the processes that we're in the midst of right now. For instance, mankind has always known that there are unexplored areas of the psyche. And for all of eternity, all of mankind has been able to take those unassimilated portions of the self, the portions that he didn't understand, and man would then project them out into the landscape, into nature, into his stories, into his myths. This is the birth of gods and demons. Gods and demons merely represent unassimilated portions of man's psyche. We project them out, and when we project them out, the gods, the demons, the heroes, the archetypes, when we project them out into our landscape, we can then walk around them and consider them, push at them, and see where they give. Because what we're really doing in that is we are discovering our own part in all of it. We are discovering that they are part of us. We've been through that process now. We've been doing it for eons, where we projected all these things out into our landscape. We projected them out into gods and demons. We projected them out, and we've explored every aspect of them. And we've just now begun the process of understanding that they are a part of us. And when we make that discovery, what we'll find is that we can then take those projected images and we can reassimilate them and bring them back into ourselves. And that's this part of the journey that we're on right now. We are discovering about ourselves all of these properties of us, all of these aspects of us that we've credited to external forces that really are a part of ourselves. We're discovering that we are the universe. Pretty cool stuff. All right, I have no idea where I started that led me to that, but let me go back to some notes here and see where we might talk about next. Okay, I think I started with talking about Seth there, and then I got off into how energies flow through me. So anyway, I went through this process of reading Seth, and it was an amazing thing. And so now I have this connection with these energies, and they're very, very close to me, and I can feel them and recognize them, and feel them coming through me. And we are in this process of blending with our higher selves. And we have all these helping energies around us who are aiding in that process also. And so like energies are coming together and aiding in this process. So after in the process, while I was doing that with Seth, I then had what I term a second awakening. And that was my galactic awakening. And I want to touch on this now because we are going to be talking about this quite a bit in the future. And we're going to have guests and that type of thing that will around this type of galactic family information. And what I wanted to say was, I really got dragged kicking and screaming into the whole off-world or extraterrestrial UFO thing. I will say, now I will qualify that by saying many, many years ago, my wife had a contact experience with a ship that was over our house in Pontiac. And it was an incredible experience, an incredible story, and I'm going to share that story with you sometime, but just not right this second. So she had that experience, so it's not like we were averse to it, or I was averse to the idea. But when I started off with Abraham and Seth, ETs and UFOs, that was like the furthest thing from my mind. I'm like, I can buy this, but I don't buy that. You know what I mean? I can go along with a lot of this stuff, but I'm sorry, I just don't buy that. So I ate my words shortly. What happened is, again, I was meditating, and I had set an intention again, and asked the question. And the question was, what is my origin? And actually, this had come to me from reading Seth. And Seth, by the way, talked about off-world beings and talked about these visitors as well. So it wasn't like I knew Seth was talking about it, so I knew there was something to it. But I asked what my origin was. And again, the knower, that voice, the word that I got was Lyra. And I didn't even know how to spell it. I just knew that the word was Lyra, and I didn't know what it meant. It had no meaning for me. So right away after I was done meditating, I Googled it. And the first thing that I came up with was the Lyran constellation, the constellation of stars. The second thing that I came across was Lisa Royal Holt's channelings. And I went in and I started reading about all of that. And Lisa Royal Holt published a book called The Prism of Lyra. And really it is a background, almost a historical perspective of the whole idea of off-world beings. And where are places and all that, and kind of like a historical timeline, and that reading in and of itself, as well as her other publicly available channelings on the idea, were filled in the blanks for me. It just really filled in the blanks for me, and I started to get a sense of how that played in with everything else. So around that time, I started getting very interested in it, and I was familiar with Bashar, and I started listening to Bashar and getting the information from Bashar. And, of course, I felt that the information that Bashar was sharing was right on par with Seth, right exactly on par with everything that I knew from Seth. And so I had no problem integrating that information into this bigger picture, or this bigger perspective that I was starting to form for myself of what everything was, what everything really was. So that was like a galactic awakening for me, and I've had some really great experiences in between then and now, and we're going to talk about those some more at another time. But I just wanted to mention that really two distinct awakenings, and what I've come to realize is that it's all part of the same thing. And that's funny because I have these local meetup groups that meet here in person, and one of them is the Consciousness Evolution group. The other group is the the UFO ET group, which meets once a month. And we typically kind of get different membership at the different meetings. The spiritual people come in for the spiritual meeting, for the consciousness meeting, and then we get a wide array of people coming in for the UFO ET group. Some of them just curious about extraterrestrials, or a fancy with it, or had seen something once and wanted more information. And we were also getting people in who had been abducted, and really were having a lot of great challenges with this whole idea of what they felt was them being taken against their wills. And so I had these two groups going, and the local meetup groups. And then the funniest thing, I was on Facebook one day, and I was a member of the Bashar Inspiration Group, and I really enjoyed it. And I showed up there one day and went onto the site to see what had been posted, and there's a message, and it said, the Bashar Inspiration Group doesn't have an administrator. And I said, oh, well, that's weird. And I clicked OK. And then a second message came up and it said, would you like to be administrator of the Bashar Inspiration Group? And I said, hell yeah. I said, that sounds like a great idea. So that's how I got involved in that. And I've had that group ever since. And a wonderful group that covers a lot of the Bashar material. But again, from my standpoint, now from the perspective that I have, it's all tied together. And so that really has been the thrust behind the Consciousness Evolution 2.0 Facebook group. And I really would love to have you folks, if you're not a member there, I would love to have you come and join us. It's an amazing, wonderful group of people there. So much group activity and so many wonderful, varied perspectives. But all falling under this roof or this blanket of the new paradigm. So in this group, you get UFO and extraterrestrial information, you get Seth information, we have wonderful people who are channeling and posting just for us in this group. They're posting other places too, but the first place they post, they come and post it here. Wonderful, wonderful people, some of whom are going to be guests on the show. And sharing freely this information. And then even beyond the people who are channeling and sharing that, we have people coming in who are very, very open-hearted about their own journeys and their challenges and their new perspectives. And we get people on a thread, and it'll be nothing for a thread that starts off to end up with 100 or more comments on it, because that's that give and take that's the hallmark of the Consciousness Evolution 2.0 group on Facebook. So many people so willing to open their hearts and share their perspectives and allow for all other perspectives as well. Because those of us there, we know if somebody says something and it sticks in our craw, there's only one reason why that happens. Because we are reflecting that perspective back to ourselves. Because it's asking us to examine something that's a little squonky, that's a little bit out of tune in us, that is giving us these negative emotions or negative feelings about what was said. Now, the typical way that we've always gone about it as humans is point and shoot. You pissed me off, now I'm going to shoot back. And what we're coming to understand and coming to realize is that these interactions that we have that bring forth an emotional response from us, these are the reflections we are asking for. These are the reflections that are coming back to us because we're being asked to examine something within ourselves. Now, that said, all opinions are valid. All perspectives are valid. Because no two people are going to see anything the same way. We weren't designed that way. We were never designed to see things the same way. In fact, we were designed just the opposite. We were designed to see things differently. That's what humankind is. That's what humankind does. We are each different aspects of the diamond. We are different parts of the crystal. And as such, we reflect in our very own unique, individual way. That's what this journey is about. This journey is us, we, all that is, source, all one. We have individuated ourselves. We have differentiated ourselves in order to have a specific experience on Earth. A unique experience, an experience that no other person can have, a perspective that no other person can hold in quite the same way. This is the journey we've been on. Because as we discover more of who we are discovering more of what all it is. All you will ever find in the unknown is more and more and more of yourself. So that's this process that humankind has been on. Discovering more and more and more of who we are, and in the process we assure the expansion of the universe. So what I want to do is convince you of your own power, your own rightness. All of the inclinations and disinclinations that are part of you were given you for a reason. Because only you can be you. Only you can do it. So whatever you feel, whatever is part of what that is, what that means to be you, you have the blessing of Source. You have the blessing of all that is. It was designed for you. This experience, this discovery. And I talk about, it occurs to me, I talk about all that is in Source as being separate from you. It is not. You are Source. You are all that is. You're just having an individuated experience. So you don't ever have to feel bad or funny about what it is that you are. It was ordained. And no one can do it like you. Okay, there's tangent number 2, so I have no idea where I am, so let me back up to the notes here. We talked about the Facebook groups, talked about Bashar, Galactic Awakening. Let's see how we're doing on time. Oh, wow. Oh, a lot of time's passed. Holy cow. All right. So let me get my bearings here. I think what we'll do, we've got a few callers on the line. Maybe this is a good time for us to jump in and take some phone calls. How would you like that? So if you want to call in at this time, we'd love to talk to you here. I have a few callers up. I don't think anyone is suggesting that they have a question or comment. But we'll give you a few minutes. I'll keep talking. God knows I don't have any trouble doing that. I'll keep talking. We'll wait for some people who want to come on. Actually, I do see a call here that we're going to take right now. Rob, you there?
Hey, I'm here. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, I think.
Oh, yeah, you are doing great. You're on fire. A lot of people on Facebook responding of how well they're enjoying it. And actually, Risha posted a comment, too, about how greatly she enjoyed it. She said she wasn't even listening to the words. The energy itself was so overwhelming with love and with excitement. And she just sat back and sucked it all in, and she loved it.
Oh, that's such a great point. You know, and I really wanted to say something about that tonight, and I will use this opportunity. Thank you, Rob. I'm going to use this opportunity. That's a great point. You know, folks, when you are listening to this, it really, the benefit, what you can do to help this process along is we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff that really don't have any reasonable explanation. And so I have to ask all of the listeners to go into their imagination and when you go into your imagination and feel that energy, and again, you could fall asleep and you're still going to get it because you're getting it on so many different levels. And so that connecting with that energy up is going to give you information on different levels, whether you're listening or not, whether you're doing something else or not at the same time. You're going to get that energy from this, and that really is one of the hallmarks, not only of this being able to do this on a radio show, but at the local meetup groups as well, and on Facebook, you get this energy transfer between the individuals, whoever you're doing that with at the time. And I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's a great point.
Oh, absolutely, and I think a lot of the conversations you brought around today were brilliant. But one of my favorite ones, obviously, we talked about this last night on the my show about how well I love Seth and how much the energy of Seth in itself is so profound. And I wanted to say, or ask you, when you're listening to Seth, look, for me, Seth Speaks is almost like a Bible to me. It teaches everything that's so pure and everything that's so real. What is your favorite out of all of those? Which energy do you prefer out of those? Because each one of them has slightly different energy, even though they're coming from the same source.
To me, it's like one big, wonderful package, and different things serve me at different times. And I love the Seth energy because probably the most, I guess, if I had to say that, I would have to say that is probably my favorite, because I just feel so akin to that Seth energy. I feel like it's part of me, or I'm part of it, and I don't even know how to explain it sometimes, but it's so close to me. And when I read Seth or hear Seth, it's funny, I'll go back and listen to my own recordings, and I'll end up in tears sometimes, Rob, because it's so beautiful. It's not because it's me reading it, it's because the energy that's being expressed through the words, through the thoughts, through the love that I feel from it, just can absolutely bring me to my knees at times. When you start to get a glimpse, Rob, and you know this, when you start to get a glimpse of that, I'll call it the big L love. When you start to get a glimpse of that and start feeling the energy of that, it goes through you. It can just knock you off your feet. It is so beautiful in those terms.
Oh, absolutely. And as you were talking tonight, too, you were talking about, sometimes when I get that energy going, it flows so much, and I just, the information comes flawlessly. And right before you said it, I said, hey, like it is now. And then you said, like it is now. And I said, that is so beautiful. I loved it, too. That energy flows so well. And emotional connections to information, too, happens to me all the time. I go back and I read Aradip's first introduction in the book. I cannot listen to the recording or read it without crying, still to this day. Every time I read it, it just touches me when he talks about how insignificant humanity feels and how we're just as important and just connected and just as a big part of the creative energy in this universe as any other entity. And every time it just hits me right in the heart. I do the same thing with the Seth material.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that we have that connection too, and it's funny how people who are of like energy find each other, and that's certainly happened with us. But yeah, the passion and the, it's a grown man, and I'll just bust out in tears.
So many
but I
people
love it. I love that feeling of it. Yeah, I absolutely love that feeling of it. Well, thanks for calling in, Rob. We've got a few other calls here, and I just want to give these folks an opportunity to pipe in here for a moment. And again, so pleased to be a part of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. So pleased to be affiliated with you and to have this opportunity to do this. So excited about where this is going to carry us next. And thank you again, my brother. I love you.
Well, thank you, brother. I love you, too, and you're doing a great show tonight, so thanks for sharing your heart with us. Love you.
All right, love you, too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Can you hear me? Are you with us? Might be just someone listening. I'm not sure on the dashboard here if they actually wanted to talk or they're just listening. So I'm going to move on to the next call. Here's one that came in after I suggested I was going to take some calls. This is, I'm not sure where this is coming from. It's a 111 area code, so we'll pick up and see what we got.
Hello.
Hi, who am I speaking with?
Hi, my name's Patricia, and thank you very much for your show tonight. I just tuned in, but I was able to listen to enough to where it was just a wonderful message. And something's been going on with me, and I'd like to find out what you think about it.
Sure.
Thank you. I've been on this journey for quite a while, but something has been happening to me. I've been doing a lot of work in my dream state. I feel like I do all of my important work in the dream state, and I've been connecting with people's other selves, I guess, multidimensional selves, if that makes sense. This is all new to me, so I wanted to find out if this is real. And it's sort of like I'm connecting with people's another dimension of who they are in the dream state.
Absolutely. And it was Patricia?
Yes.
Patricia. Absolutely.
Yes.
And I'll tell you that I share that experience with you. My dream state activity has been off the charts. And I have been, it is all this energy, the energy that's working with us as we move through this process will work with us in what I'll call the least resistant path. And oftentimes for many of us, that path is in the dream state. So these energies that we're working with and other aspects of ourselves, other aspects of other people, our dear loved ones and friends who are together have taken this journey with us, we are definitely doing a lot of work in the dream state. The activity for me has just gone off the charts. And, it's funny, sometimes I wake up exhausted because I just felt like I've been working so hard all night. Oh, can I get some sleep now,
Yeah.
Has that been your experience as well?
At first, and then I asked Spirit, the universe, to kind of go easy on me because I was going on these really important missions. I was doing a lot of work, and I was exhausted to where I had to take naps throughout the day to get my energy back.
Oh,
and
sure.
I felt like that's where I was doing all my work, and then I was coming back to this 3D world to take a vacation. If that makes any sense.
Yes, it does.
And,
yes, it does.
And one night in my dream, I heard a voice that told me, "You're no longer held to the 3D laws. You are now held to the 5D laws, and all you have to do is ask." So I don't know what that means, but I just get a lot of messages, stuff, and so I needed to inquire about this because I'm all by myself doing this.
Yeah, wonderful. And that you made a great point is that, bear with me one second, I just realized my laptop wasn't plugged in, so I just have to quick plug it in here. But you brought up a great point in that, excuse me, the very last thing you said, I'm sorry.
Oh, that we're no longer, the voice said you're no longer held to the 3D laws, but you are now, all you have to do is ask, because you are now held to the 5D laws.
Oh,
so
yeah,
the 3D
okay.
laws no longer apply to you.
Right,
and I
and
didn't
before
know
that,
what that happened. What that meant.
And before that, you had said that you were getting that you had to ask it to slow down a little bit, and that's a really great point. Is that we can direct this process, and we can have input in it, and it's nothing more than setting an intention. Because really, generally speaking, we won't be given more than we can handle. And I like to use the analogy of a full bucket of water. You can't add more water to a bucket that's full. So, the bucket of water has to get used up before you can add water to it. And the energies that are working with us are pretty good about this. They will try to accommodate our ability to process and assimilate the information we're getting as we move along. But it is absolutely perfectly fine to say, hey, you know what? I just need a break right now. I just want to, because sometimes we have to take the information we get and we have to go live. We have to do that living thing and see what all this new information means, to see what this new perspective means when we take it and go out in the world with it.
Yeah.
So things are changing so fast and so quickly that, it can be difficult to keep up with. But the fact that you're getting these messages is wonderful, and that you're recognizing them, because we're all getting the invitation. Every single one of us is getting the invitation. The question is, are we allowing it, or are we resisting it? And then the other question is that we can, or the other part of that is that we can set an intention to shape it, because what we really want, we don't want to go from here to there just like that. We don't want to it, because it's not the end. It's not the goal that matters. It's not the end of the journey. It's the journey that's important. So what we want is flow. And if I will often set an intention and ask for, please give me a nice flow to my life. Because what I want is I want to do this that I enjoy, and then I want to do that I enjoy, and then I want to learn this, and then I want to assimilate it, and I want to incorporate it and make it a part of me, and I want to continue to grow, and I want to continue to learn. But what I really want is peace. I want ease. I want a nice flow. And so absolutely, if you just set that intention for yourself, which it sounds like you've got it all pretty well in hand. We're all figuring it out as we go along, but if you keep in mind, again, that the energies will accommodate you and will, when we set an intention, those intentions are not gone unheard.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to know that there are other people that are experiencing this, because I thought that I was just off the deep end. It's like I can't talk about this to your everyday person. It's just too strange. But it's real, because some of these things come to pass.
Absolutely.
And so it's pretty interesting, and I think the most interesting thing is when you can see another person's other self, because in this life they may be stressed out and they could even be rude and nasty, but when you see their other dimensional self, which is real beautiful, I mean, that's the amazing thing, because I just saw the other self to some people that I know, and I was like, wow, I had no idea you were that beautiful. Beautiful as far as, their attitude goes,
Right. The same can be said for our loved ones who have passed on. If you look for them in the way they were in their physical form, oftentimes we'll miss them. And because once they've moved into this other realm, they are a free and open spirit. and looking for them with the same resistant patterns that we expected out of them when they were with us, it often will cause us to miss their energy when it's around. So, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, Patricia, thank you very much for calling in. I appreciate your call tonight and love your thoughts, and we will hopefully we'll talk to you next time.
Well, thank you very much for your help. I very much appreciate the information. It's a good confirmation. So thank you, and have a good night.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. And we've got another call here we're going to move right into. This is from the 248 area code. And you are unmuted. Who do we have on the line?
Beth?
Oh, hello, Beth.
Feel like you not thank you enough. Your group is like amazing. I put an intention out there. And you know how I meditate, which makes it like amplify when you pray. And oh my God, I have found the love of my life. Now granted, he's in England, but he's coming here.
Hey, wonderful. Beth is local to me. She comes to our local meetup groups, and I'm going to use this opportunity to quickly plug what a wonderful thing it is to have people in your local groups that you can actually meet face to face. But Beth, I'm so glad you called in. So nice to talk to you, and that's wonderful news.
Yes,
fantastic.
I mean, it's like we've known each other. I don't know. And the timing's perfect. And now, granted, his wife had died, but he was married as long as me.
Mm-hmm.
And we just both wanted somebody to grow old and happy with, and he's got the same disposition. He's so wonderful. I mean, I feel like I'm on a movie in The Notebook or something. I mean, he is just amazing. And I wouldn't have opened up my heart and my intentions and all that without your meetings. It just amplified a frequency that was it's amazing.
Oh,
I just wanted to thank you because you're wonderful. Your whole group.
The groups are wonderful. Yeah,
it is.
But I do appreciate that, and that is the best part about them. Again, is being able to connect to each other face to face and share these things and share this energy. When
it's
you share
wonderful.
that energy.
He's coming to see me, and we're in love.
Good
so I just want to tell you thank you, and you're amazing. You really tune people into where they need to be. I mean, it's the whole group is just wonderful. But I just wanted to thank you because you're wonderful.
Well, thank you, Beth. You are too. I appreciate you calling in.
All right. Bye-bye.
You have a nice night. Bye-bye. Okay. We're going to move on. We can take some more calls. If you want to call in, the call-in number is area code 347-308-8788. If you'd like to call in, we'd love to talk to you. I know I've got lots of friends and well-wishers out there, and I'd love to hear from you if you're so inclined. Otherwise, you're going to have to listen to me talk some more. And I don't know how I don't know what you want to do that, but it's up to you. Call in or I keep talking. All right. So one of the things I'm going to do right now, we're going to start talking about some of the concepts that we're going to be covering in this group, and we'll see if anybody else wants to pick up here. So we're going to start off with the basic concept, and this is going to be obvious repeat for a lot of you, but I'm going to kind of do the 101 here, and that will give us a launching pad from which to begin to explore some of these topics in more detail. But the basic understanding here is that we are light beings, and we're light beings having a physical experience. In other words, we are beings of energy. That energy forms not only our physical bodies, but also what we consider all of our physically manifested world. Now, if you understand that everything has a vibration or a resonant frequency, including our physical self, then you can begin to understand that what we consider solid objects are simply light slowed down to a frequency that then appears solid. Now, this is a very interesting concept, and we're going to talk a lot more about the structure of the universe. But what I will tell you right now is, we think in terms of black and white. We think in terms of objects and then empty space. We look out into the stars and we see planets and galaxies, and we see, all the things that we pick up with our instruments here on Earth and our tools. And we see what we can think of as empty space. And what I want to impress on you is that everything is consciousness. And this is one of the bases of our understandings of what our reality, what we consider physical reality, is. Because everything is consciousness. Everything is formed of consciousness. So in that sense, when you look around you in the room that you're in and you think, oh, here's a table and here's a chair and here's the TV and here's a wastebasket and then the rest of it's empty space, what we tend to not recognize is that we are literally in a soup of consciousness. And it is only through our physical senses that it appears to be any different than that. Now, our physical senses are part of this physical apparatus that is in this physical reality. But we have inner senses as well. And those inner senses are our intuition. They are our empathy. They are our clairaudience, clairvoyance. All of these things that we've talked about as being extraordinary really are a part of who we are. And one of the hallmarks of all of this is that we are literally surrounded with energy. And when we look out into space, we're not looking at empty space. We're not looking at galaxies and planets. I mean, we call them that. But what we are looking at is consciousness. Now, those of you who listen to Rob and have been in on the master density classes, you understand that each density or dimension really is represented by different types of what we call celestial objects. But when you think of it in terms of being a consciousness and not a mass of rocks and gases, and understand that there is a consciousness there, now you can start to get an idea when we talk about third dimension and we talk about fifth dimension and we talk about all the other dimensions and we talk about how we are shifting from third dimension to fifth dimension. What we're really doing when we're shifting from third dimension to fifth dimension is we're discovering that in third dimension that we are third dimension. We are the universe. We are consciousness. And consciousness is everywhere and is everything. That really is the basis of an understanding of what our true reality is. And I'm going to borrow from Bashar here. The 5 basic laws of the universe are the laws of creation. And this will kind of drive this point home a little bit. Number 1, the first law is you exist. You can't not exist. Because if you didn't exist, then creation would grind to a halt. So you are, therefore you are. If you did not exist, all that is could not be all that is. It would be some of what could be. And literally, without you, everything grinds to a halt. Remember, you're part of the one, you're part of the whole, you are part of Source. And in that sense, you are Source. You have all the properties of Source. You were created with God's stuff. Those are properties that are part of you. The second law is everything is here and now. There is only this moment. And in the coming shows, we're going to be talking a lot about the now moment, because the now moment is the key to living your fifth dimensional life. The now moment is the key to your fifth dimensional life. Because when you can place yourself and live in the now moment and live from your heart, everything else will fall in place. Because there is only now. I don't let myself get too far back in the past or too far ahead in the future, because when I do that, I forget about the now moment. The now moment is everything. Seth said, the now moment is your point of power. And I want you to think about that. Because you can't do anything from yesterday, and you can't do anything from tomorrow. The only place you can do anything from is now. That's where your point of power is. And if you take that now moment and you continually follow your excitement, follow your joy, follow your bliss, do the things that excite you, do the things that bring you value fulfillment. If you choose, because in every now moment you get to choose. You get to choose. And if you continually get in the habit, and it is a habit, and the more you do it, the better you get at it, but when you get in the habit of choosing what you prefer in every moment, your life will explode. It will explode into wonder. And when you begin to get a sniff of that, when you begin to get a taste of that, when you begin to see it, when you begin to recognize it, you will never, ever look at things the same again. And it will carry you, and it will prove it to you, and you will prove it to yourself. So that's the second law. Everything is here and now. The third law is the one is the all, and the all are the one. Couldn't be any clearer. We all come from Source, and as such, we are endowed with all of the properties of Source. We aren't poor little humans. We are powerful master creators. And once you start to get a feeling for that, it'll never look the same. The fourth law, very simple, very clear. What you put out is what you get back. It's basically the law of attraction. Like energies attract. It works so well, works in so many ways. But what you put out is what you get back. So if you can focus yourself in that now moment and be conscious of what energy is flowing through you, then it will be no surprise to you whatsoever as to what is showing up in your experience. because you will have the understanding that you, powerful, master creator being that you are putting out this energy. It is flowing through you into the places of your focus. And it is a beacon. It is attracting like energy like that back to you. And then the fifth law. Everything changes, but the first four laws. So you can take those 5 laws and you can almost make yourself a little script for yourself. I exist. I am. 2 of the most powerful words in the English language. I am. And because you are, everything is. You live in the moment. Everything is here now. Live in the moment. Live in the moment. The one is the all is the one. We are not separate beings. We are playing a game of separation. We all come from the same source. When you get to 5th dimension, you'll know you're there because you will see everything with the love that's in your heart. And you will, as that master creator that you are, as that master universe that you are, you will allow everything to exist and you will love it because it does exist, because it is a part of source and part of all that is. You will never again see things the same. You will never again point your finger at somebody or something and say how awful it is or how wrong it is. Because when you get to that level, there is no wrong. There is only more and more and more of yourself to discover. And then when you start to get really good at this, you, master creator, once again, realize that the energy that flows through you attracts. It sets up a beacon. It sets up a light tower and brings to you the things that you're looking for. So the key to every bit of this is to be your authentic self. Be that person that you came here to be. Because I assure you, I absolutely guarantee you, when you are true to yourself, when you are true to your heart, when you become that person that came here with the intention, with the great intention that you had to be who you are, you will create an amazing energy vortex that will bring to you all the things that you've been looking for. It can't not work. It's part of the design of the system. It is part of creation. It's all meant to work out. Well, I think that's a pretty good place to stop there. We've got about 5 minutes left. And I'm going to just briefly go back through the show notes about the Enlightenment Evolution Network and the new shows that are coming on. And I did want to mention one more thing, and I forgot to say this at the beginning with all of the excitement of getting started with this. This show was dedicated to 2 wonderful, beautiful spirits. Jenna Clayton and Alexi Paulina. 2 very wonderful people. And their energy is apparent to me. And I just want to say I love them very much, and this show is for them. Okay, so quickly, we're going to go through these. Again, the Enlightenment Evolution Network, Rob Goth here. Wow, this is just going to become amazing. This is just going to continue to grow and grow and become better and better. Monday nights, we're going to have Daniel Scranton. Remember with Daniel, Sunday night, Daniel is doing the Q&A with the Hathors at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Question and answer with the Hathors. That's Sunday night. Go to danielscranton.com. Find him on Facebook. Better yet, come to the Consciousness Evolution 2.0 group and ask. We'll direct you. He's our buddy. All right? And then next Monday night, Daniel on his show, the Heart to Heart Talk Radio with Daniel Scranton. Next Monday night, his guest is going to be Nora Harold, who channels the Pleiadians. Wonderful, has been doing it for years. I love listening to Nora. So clear, so wonderful to listen to. And I know Daniel and Nora are friends, so it's going to be an amazing show. So highly recommended there. Tuesday nights, we will be starting J. Carlos Rios is going to be hosting the Galactic Families. We'll have details to come on that. Wednesday night, Rob Gauthier again will be the host of his show, the Enlightenment Evolution Network, the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. That starts at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Next Wednesday night will be his next show. Thursday nights, of course, next Thursday we'll be back here again doing the Consciousness Evolution Hour, which is just about 2 hours now. Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Friday nights, coming soon, more details, the Earth Experience with Kalina Angel. Kalina Angel hosting her own upcoming show, the Earth Experience, on Friday nights. Much more details to come on that. What to do when the shift hits the fan. And then stay tuned as well for upcoming announcements for Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. Amazing network that Rob has put together here. I'm so pleased to be a part of it. And we're going to close it down for the night. I want to thank everybody who attended. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I had such a good time doing this. It was so wonderful to have an audience here with me. And I look forward to next week and doing this again. Love to you all. Love to you, Rob. Love to everyone here. And I will talk to you next Thursday. Namaste.